Much for being here. I normally don't do episodes on Saturday, but it was like, you know what? This guy's worth it. This story is worth it. I want to hear um, what you've been up to more recently. We talk about the three topics that I want to cover with you. But the first one, what about we start with 9/11? So you're a 9/11 survivor.
Mhm.
Walk us through that day. How was that?
I think, we should put it a little bit more in the context, just I think walking into a day, I don't think it would make much sense, but
Give us the
just
context. Yeah.
I would say we back up to 1992. I was 17, and one day my dad came home and he said, "We're moving to the United States tonight,
Hmm.
and we're not coming back." So, at 17, I realized I was a skier, I was a ski jumper. I really wanted to go to the Olympics, and I didn't need a few hours to pack up. I just needed a few minutes because I took my bag, I took my ski suit, ski boots, a helmet, and I wore my training suit and my running shoes. And we got in the car in the middle of the night and drove off north towards Moscow, and halfway my dad got off in Minsk. It's just if you look in the right now, it's where the war is going, and but basically he was straight north, and they drove to Moscow, and I had to pick him up at the airport, and I almost got hit while I was being chased around Moscow city, and it was just the knowledge of exactly. It was the knowledge of the car that was chasing me that got me away. And basically, at 17, I came to the United States, and I asked my uncle to write letters to ski schools. He lived in New Jersey. He came a few years earlier, and I said, "Uncle Zach, I want to ski. Can you please write letters to ski schools?" And the National Sports Academy at Lake Placid, they invited me for an interview, and they gave me a scholarship so I could live there. I could learn English, which I didn't know, and I could repeat the final grade, the 12th grade, and most importantly, I could ski as much as I wanted to. And it's basically happened on the Halloween. We drove on the Halloween, so it was just exactly 92, 33 years ago. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. And I also, after going to the National Sports Academy in Lake Placid and learning English, a few years later, I transferred to New York University in New York City, and I realized that I'm going to school right now, and I'm 300 miles away, the same 300 miles that my uncle drove me a few years before on Halloween. And I decided that I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make it happen. And for almost 3 years, I had a commute of 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers round trip every weekend so I could ski jump, because I knew that if I stop, then my chance is zero. I knew my chances were close to zero if I kept going. Excuse me. But if I stopped, my chances would be absolutely zero. And I did that commute, and I got fortunate to um, go to the Olympics while I was still at NYU.
Hmm.
And I think I am the first Winter Olympian who was a full-time student at New York University Stern School of Business.
How old were you at the time?
Uh, 22.
22. Wow.
Yeah. And then at 23, yeah, I qualified for the Nagano Olympics. I guess I was rewarded for all those years of commuting and going to school at the same time. But one thing that I wanted to share with you and with your listeners, that there are two things that can help you to reach any goal that you set off.
Hmm.
And in this example, it was like I decided that I'm going to the Olympics many, many years before. And it was an unconditional decision that in my mind was, I am willing to do whatever it takes. When you are a professional skier, you spend a lot of time in the hospitals and staring at the ceiling, and there's nobody around because it's part of the nature of the sport. And, you know, it was a really fortunate thing that I could make it the year I could make it, because if I didn't, then I would try for another 4 and another 4. And like, I would just kept going. But I got lucky on the first try, and I'm really thankful that, that happened. So I come back from the Olympics, and I started um, for working for a trading company, and we were 2 buildings from the New York Stock Exchange. So, what they show on TV, those columns, it's actually Broad Street, because the original building of the New York Stock Exchange, it was on Broad Street. I think it was like 12 or something. But then they built around the corner, and it became Wall Street. And our offices were, I think it was 50 Broad Street, which is 2 buildings from the New York Stock Exchange. And it was just like, oh, I just graduated from NYU, and I'm working right next to the New York Stock Exchange. But one of the things that I think that was impressive in my mind was that, like, if you think about the Statue of Liberty, right, it represents freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn your back and look north across the Hudson River, and you could see the World Trade Center. And that represented, to me, it represented opportunity. And just like symbolically, it was a dream to work in the World Trade Center. So a few months after I started working, a group of traders, they decided to break away and join another company. And they said, Lyubim, we are going to see our office space in the World Trade Center. Do you want to come? I was like, yes, of course I want to come. And we go through this lobby. There is like a metal detectors, but you could go through the turns aisle, and you go in this huge elevator that is just like, it's humongous, and it goes super fast. And in the World Trade Center, it had like a really complex system of elevators. They didn't go up and down. They used to go up, down, sideways to a certain level, and then you had to get off and walk and take an escalator and another set of elevators. So it was really advanced and complex. So imagine, um,
Sideways elevator? What do you mean? Is that real?
yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
it was it was really, really complex. But what I'm saying is that if you go like later on, we move. I'll get to that point. And basically, we are in this huge lobby. We get in this huge elevator. We walk into this office that has these floor to ceiling windows. They're just looking west side at the Hudson River, and New Jersey is on the other side. And if you look like left and down, you can see in that direction the Statue of Liberty
Mm.
on the Staten Island. And if you think about the New York is like Manhattan is like a pizza. It's like this. If you go from north, it's really wide, and if you go south, it's really narrow. In that narrow spot at the very end, that's where the World Trade Center used to be, or the Twin Towers. And imagine it's like such a huge concentration population of people in one little area, and specifically like in the World Trade Center in the Twin Towers. So I'm looking in these windows, I am completely blown away. I'm like mesmerized, it was magic. And then they say, so what do you think, Lyubim? And I say, okay, I'm coming here with you. And they're like, they laugh at me and they say, dude, we didn't even tell you what the terms are. I'm like, I am working here, whatever. I will pay to work here. So, it was a really dream come true. And then I have a really good friend from New York University. We met in an advanced managerial accounting class, and we became really good friends. We studied for the CPA exam, which is a 9 months preparation course, and it's one of the most difficult exams. It goes over 2 days. There are 4 different parts. And because we were going full time to school, and me first training for the Olympics, and then, you know, valet parking cars at the River Cafe, which was on the other side of the Brooklyn Bridge, looking at the Twin Towers, day and night. You just park cars, I would park cars, and then would just look at the buildings. And, I always knew that I'm going to work up there. And now I get a chance to come and work in the building. And my friend was working across the Hudson River in a World Financial Center. It's basically, there is a walkway that used to connect the Twin Towers or the financial centers. You go over the highway. You didn't need to get on the road. You go, and then there is a financial center, and they're right on the water. But because he was working for an accounting firm, they worked really long hours, and we met with him on September 10th, and he had to work really late, and we had pizza, we had beer, and the next morning, I remember it was a really sunny, beautiful day, and I have this personality that if I see a bus and it's like going away, I had to chase it, and sometimes if I didn't catch it at the first stop, I would run for the next stop, and I just came back from the Olympics. I still have that energy, and I'm sitting in the office all day, so
Mm.
I burned it by chasing buses.